Good morning, DS4HS! Let's get right into it, baby. So in this video, we're going to be exploring Python built-in functions. Now in other videos, we've touched on Python built-in functions, but in this video, we're really going to dive right into it and go into the nitty-gritty and go into the specifics of built-in functions with Python. In this video, we will build upon what we learned in other videos. Object-oriented programming, features of Python names, types, and methods, and 4 basic Python data types: strings, integers, floats, and lists. In this video, we will explore some of the basic Python built-in functions that come with all implementations of Python. There is no need to import any additional Python modules to use the built-in functions featured in this video. In fact, we have used 4 Python built-in functions in our first 2 videos: type, string, int, float. And after all these built-in functions, you have to have parentheses, okay? And inside of the parentheses go an argument, only one argument, and that's what you put inside of the parentheses and is an argument, but we'll get into that later in this video. At the end of this video, we'll be able to distinguish between 2 types of functions used in Python. Object-oriented programming function we encountered in video 1, Python methods. Remember that Python methods are called by Python objects such as string or list. 2 examples of methods we encountered in video 1 were string.upper and list.append. String.upper made the string, everything in the string, capitalized, and list.append added something to the end of the list. Functions are used independently of any Python object. You call a function by a name and follow the function name with a pair of parentheses. Some functions require input variables and some don't. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Input variable, so that's what goes inside the functions. So type requires an input variable because we need to see what data type is of the input variable. So the input variable for type, whatever we put in for the input variable will show us what data type that input variable is. And then string will turn the input variable or the argument into a string. Int, it will turn that input variable or argument into an integer, and float, same thing. So they're called input variable, arguments, a lot of other things. But some have them and some don't. Enough of this introductory talk. Let's make the theory come alive by working with Python built-in functions with hands-on learning activities. So guys, you can just follow along with me here, and if the pace of this video ever gets too fast, you can stop, go back, pause, go to another video, whatever you want. That's the great thing about DS4HS and these pre-recorded classes, is you guys can go at whatever pace you like. And you guys have this exact Jupyter notebook, so you can go ahead, slow down, or look on here if you ever get lost. So yeah. But let's get into it. So let's start by reviewing all of the Python built-in functions from the official Python documentation website. So here it is. Here's a link to it. And if you click that, you can see the Python documentation website. From this list, we see the built-in functions we have already used: float, int, string, and type. So those 4 we've already gone over. We're going to start exploring Python built-in functions with a print function, and then explore the max, min, and sum functions. So let's get into it. Print. And then this comment says, and what does the comment do? It tells the Python program to ignore it, and it's perfect for taking notes. So let's start by simply printing print. It returns function print. Ready? It returns function print because we need to tell them what to print. So type. So if we do type print, it shows us that it's a built-in function or method. So that's what print is. And then question mark. And what does the question mark do? Question mark gives you like a nice little description. That's what IPython does. IPython runs under the hood of Jupyter Notebooks. Jupyter Notebooks is like an easier, user-friendly IPython, and the question mark shows us the description of what print is. So it says print is a value. The values to a stream or to a sys standout by default, and then shows us all this stuff, the type, built-in function or method. But let's print something. Boom. So we're going to here and print hello world. We got to exit out here. What causes error? Read the message. Hello world. So you guys fix it on your own. And here, I'll fix it for you. Hello world. You needed the quotation marks. We needed quotation marks around the string message inside print. Boom. See? And now we're fine. Now we're going to assign the string hello West Coast to world. So when we print world, it's going to come out as hello West Coast. So print world. And see right here? Here is the input right here. When we talk about up here, we talk about, where is it? We talk about input variables. For print, you need an input variable. So here the input variable was hello world, or the argument. and here the input variable or argument is world. And let's see what happens if we don't put an input variable or argument. It prints nothing because nothing was imprinted. So if you don't put anything, it will print nothing. Hello world. Boom. Okay, so here it says hello West Coast because the input variable was world, and world, the value assigned to world is hello West Coast, the string. Now let's explore the following basic numeric built-in functions: min, max, and sum. All right, ready? So we just type in min. So min is a function. Type min, it's a built-in function or method. Type checks it and it shows us what it is. It shows us what data type, what it is. So if it's a built-in function method, if it's a string, float, integer, whatever. It's a really useful built-in function. Now here we have a list, and the list has 4 values, and you can tell it's a list. Why? Because of the square brackets. So it has 4 values, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a list of numbers, and we do min, but the min has no arguments or input variables. Ready? Boom. And it says, read the message carefully, embrace and welcome Python error messages. While some Python error messages are cryptic, others are very informative. So yes, Python error messages can be very cryptic and confusing. They can just be like, what does this mean? But this one's very helpful. It says, min accepted argument 1. So it needs an argument or input variable here. There was none. Got 0 because there was no argument. It happened on line 2. Not on line 1, on line 2. The error was because there was no input argument, and we want to find the min or minimum of this list x. So let's see what it is. Shift enter 1. We have it here. Shift enter 1. So min is a built-in Python function that shows us the minimum of a list. And here it is right here. Now let's use the max. Max of x is 4 because the maximum number is 4. The minimum number is 1. Now let's use the sum built-in function. So this function sums up all the numbers. So it's going to add all these numbers together. Let's see what we get. 10. Now len is a very interesting built-in function because it counts the number of items in the list. So len 4, or len x, because the argument is x. And see, it needs an argument. Boom. Takes exactly 1 argument, 0 given. So we need an argument, x, boom, and there's 4 items in this list. But let's say we added right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7. And let's see, min still 1, max 19, sum 44. Len's gonna be different, 7 because there's 7 items in this list. All right, so let's keep chugging along. Assessment of understanding. Using only Python built-in functions covered so far in this video, find the statistical mean of the numbers in the list x. Assign the statistical mean to the variable mean x. Okay, so here, what we're doing is finding the mean, or the average. So in order to find the average, we add up everything and divide it by the amount of. Okay, so we're going to add up everything in the list x. So what are we going to use to add everything up? We're going to use sum, and then we're going to divide it by the number of items in that list in order to find the mean. So luckily, it's right here. So sum adds up everything, okay? And then we're going to do divided by len of x. So sum is going to give us the sum of x, and then len, and then we're going to get len divided by the number of, the length of x, the length of the list x, and also the length of the number of items in x. But let's, first of all, let's go back to the original. So here, mean x. So let's see what it does. We're gonna assign it to the variable named mean x. So mean x equals 2.5. Okay, and let's see what that's right. So there's 4 items, and then 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 10. 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. So yes. And then type x. Let's see what it does. So type x is what is type x? What do you think it's going to come out as? Pause the video and what do you think it's going to come out as? I know it says it right there, but pretend it doesn't. It's a list, exactly. Type mean x, it said it earlier. There's a decimal point. It's a float. Mean x is a Python float object, even though mean x is a formula. Why is mean x a float and not a formula? Let's do hands-on investigating. The reason is because it tells us to execute this. If you give it a formula, it's going to execute it. So it's going to do the math for you because, like we said, Python can act as a calculator. So it executes the equation, executes the formula, which results in a float. Now let's look at the built-in function of dot append. So here we have x dot append x. Okay, so here we're adding 10, or appending 10 to the list X. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. So we added 10 to the end of the list X. When you add something to a list, or when you append something to a list, it's always going to come at the end of the list. No matter what it is, it's always going to come at the end of the list. This could be 1. It would still come up at the end of the list. So yeah. Now we're doing mean X, so of the new, so it's 4.42222, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 10 plus 1 plus 10, that's what? That's 31 divided by 4 equals 4.4287. That's a float, definitely, because you got that decimal point. Alright, now let's append 1,000 to it. Let's add a big number to our list and see how the mean changes. Wow, the means changed significantly because we added that big number. Now let's add a big negative number and recalculate our mean. Wow! Look at that. A lot different. Now we're going to do x and then sum of x and then len of x. Let's take a look at how our list has expanded using the append list method. Let's check the sum of our list with the sum built-in function. Let's check the sum of our list with the len built-in function. So the len, or length, of this list is 10. Let's say we comment it out and let's see the sum of it. It's negative 2,969. Wow. Now, sort is a really, really cool built-in function. What this does is it sorts it numerically. So it's going to sort it from least to greatest. So let's pay attention. So pay attention. We are used yet another Python built-in function, sorted. So let's see what sorted does. Boom. And it sorts it from least to greatest, which is really, really cool. And then for things with letters or characters, it's going to sort it from alphabetical order, in alphabetical order. So assessment of understanding. What is the difference between the following two Python statements? Len x and x.countN, where n is any number inside of a Python list. Okay, so hint. Are both of these Python statements Python built-in functions, or is one of these statements a Python built-in function and the other a Python object-oriented method? Carefully examine the exact placement of the terms len and count. Len is at the beginning of the Python statement and is followed by parentheses. Count is at the end of the Python statement and preceded by a period. Okay, here, len, as we know, and as we've said, that is a built-in Python function because it comes at the beginning of the statement. If it's at the beginning of the statement, then that means it's a function. But if it follows a period or comes at the end of the statement, then that means it's a Python-oriented method. So len's going to tell us how many items are in this list. So let's say there's 10 items in this list. It's going to come 10. But .count, x.countN is going to say, hey, from the list X, so it's going to say from this list X, count how many times n occurs. Okay, so this is going to be 2 because n's only in the list twice. So these are two very different things. This shows us how many items are in the list. This shows us how many times a certain item is in the list. So this is how many total items are in the list, and this is how many times a certain item is in the list. So let's check it out. X equals, so it has all these things, and then we're going to do len, boom, so there's 10 items in this list. And now we're going to do x again, so x is the list, then we're going to do x.count, 10, so it's going to count 10, boom, and 10 only comes up twice. Okay, conclusion. Upon concluding this third Jupyter Notebook, we are now at the basic understanding of basic features of object-oriented programming in Python, basic Python data types, string, integer, float, and list, basic Python built-in functions, print, min, max, sum, len, and sorted. The difference between a Python function and a Python method, which we talked about earlier, is a special type of function associated with the specific Python object, such as a string, string.upper, or a list, list.append, or list.count. After these 3 videos, you should be developing an understanding of what the following set of Python messages are telling you and why they list each Python-oriented, object-oriented type as either a built-in function or method. Now we're going to do one more, print. Type print is going to show us it's a built-in function. Now let's see what type sum is going to do. Built-in function. Guess what count's going to do? Built-in function or method. Built-in function or method. Now here, these two are functions. Okay. Now these two, since they have the period and come after and come after, not before, then their methods. Congratulations! It takes many students studying Python months to know the difference between a Python function and or a Python object-oriented method. In this video, we encountered the parentheses used at the end of a Python function or method, and then in the next video, we will explore what goes inside of square brackets. Developing an understanding of what goes inside of square brackets will empower you with Python, and especially Python for data science. As always, remember to perform as much hands-on practice as you can with any of these topics covered in these notebooks. You have 24 access to your remote desktop and these notebooks. Use your remote desktop resources to the max. Practice, practice, practice. Remember, hard work beats talent every time talent refuses to work hard. And in software, you have to practice, because when you practice, you become more and more precise, and you need to be precise, because in software, when you are 99.999% right, you are 100% wrong. You're only right when you are 100% right, because you have to be precise at every turn. If I have one little letter messed up, just one letter, boom, I get a name error. One letter. Or one extra parentheses, I get a syntax error. All these little things. If you mess up, just one little thing you mess up, it's going to screw up the whole code, the whole program. So you need to be precise, and how do you be precise is more practice. And if you ever get lost in these videos, guys, remember, you can stop the video at any time, go back, or if you think the pace is too slow, you can go forward, skip ahead, whatever you like. You guys have these exact notebooks, so if you ever get lost, you can just look on this video, and it'll guide you. As always, data science rocks. If you have any questions, email us at abcaslow, CASLOW, @berkeley.edu. Thanks, guys. See you later.